Today we're cracking open something that's always talked about like magic, but absolutely isn't. We're talking about the GECK. Not the memes, not the Vault-Tec brochures. I'm talking about the real GECK here. What it actually is, and why I think they could not mass produce them. Now mind you, this theory is just based on bits and pieces I've been able to find from old Fallout, new Fallout, everything in between there. So, let's get the show on the road. Now, the official story is that the GECK is the Garden of Eden creation kit. A miracle box that can terraform the wasteland, build towns, purify water, make clean soil, help reboot civilization. But here's the issue. Almost no vault actually got one. And the ones that did, they were region-specific, hand-delivered, and absurdly rare. If Vault-Tec could mass-produce world repair kits, why didn't every vault get one? Hell, why didn't the Enclave, back before it was the Enclave, have warehouses full of the damned things? Because the GECK isn't just a toolkit. It's a bioengineered, terraforming container. And it wasn't cheap, safe, or easy to make. And that leads into something from some of the newer Fallout entries, especially one of the ones people don't like to admit is part of the Fallout universe now, and that is 76. In Fallout 76, there is a thing that can be found in a vault, simply referred to as X-001. There are entries and the like that specify what it is. I have a whole video on what I believe it to be and how it ties into this. But the basic rundown on it is, it was a pre-FEV organism that mutated anything that got close to it. Didn't matter if it was plants, animals, or the researchers themselves. Simply being in proximity caused biological changes to whatever it was. It was so dangerous it could only be worked with remotely, through machines, not directly. But here's the critical detail. The mutations were not random. They followed patterns. They responded to environmental variabilities. That's generally agreed upon as what the FEV was known to do, unless directed in a certain way. My theory is the scientists of West-Tec were able to stabilize a strain of X-001 just enough to use it as a foundation for a fully programmable biological template engine. Think of X-001 as the raw clay, and FEV became a refined material. And the GECK? Oh, the GECK is the final massive tool built from this material. Now inside every GECK is contained a payload of customized airborne FEV. Not the super mutant strain we all know and love, but a gentler, more programmable variant grown from X-001. Now this strain is programmed to do something unique. It takes the baseline samples that are recorded inside of every GECK and forces the surrounding environment to match them. Because every GECK contains clean soil samples from the region, DNA samples of local wildlife, genetic baselines for plants, atmospheric extrapolations, and maybe even microbiological ecosystems. When the GECK activates, the airborne FEV spreads out and begins changing anything it can safely change, using these samples as templates. So if the soil is irradiated, it rewrites the soil to match the clean baseline. If the water's toxic, forces the water to match the sample. If the plant life is damaged or mutated, the seeds this plant life drops will grow into clean, original versions of that plant. Now, if an animal drinks this water, this purified water, the animal will remain unchanged. But its offspring would likely be born either more normal for that region, or just what the baseline of that animal should be. Let's take a Brahmin, for example. Two-headed cows, I think the ones in-game are descended from Holsteins, I think. It means if a Brahmin drinks this water, and then they give birth, they'd be giving birth to either an animal that more resembles a Holstein, or just an actual Holstein calf. Because if it were to force change the Brahmin back into a Holstein, it would most likely just kill it. Like what happens with most people that are dunked in FEV. This makes the GECK a slow, safe, generational correction to the world. And if you're wondering why they couldn't mass produce it, the first issue is FEV is unpredictable at the best of times. Second reason is they are region-specific calibrations that need to be done to each GECK. You can't use a GECK calibrated for the Northeast and the Southwest. Sure, it would probably clean the soil and the water, but the resulting plants and animals wouldn't survive if the material inside the GECK would even do anything to begin with. You'd collapse the ecosystem instead of restoring it, in actuality. So every single GECK has to be hand-built, hand-coded, and tested for the specific region it means to repair. The third is the material it's made from, just to begin with. You can't just grow more of this strain of FEV. The original organism was barely controllable anyway, and harvesting usable pieces to make this unique strain of FEV from it likely required remote robotics, rare reagents, high containment labs, and maybe even different odds and ends that we have no idea are even needed for it. They're unknown unknowns. And mind you, all of that was before the bombs fell. After, the infrastructure to make the GECKs is now gone forever. Now you may be wondering, with Vault-Tec's resources and backing, why didn't they just outfit every vault with a GECK? Because after all, if the GECK is supposed to restore civilization, why isn't it standard issue? Because it doesn't need to be. A GECK covers a whole region once it activates. So you don't need 20 GECKs and 20 vaults, right? You give one vault per region the calibrated GECK for that region. That's all it needs. It's like dropping a seed bomb, but with programmed FEV instead of seeds. And as such, Vault-Tec only produced a handful of these things. The rest of the vaults, they were mostly experiments anyway, so you don't really need to give them terraforming tools. It's just one more layer of illusion placed on top of what Vault-Tec actually was. Now, the way I figure it is Fallout 3 kind of proves this theory at the end of the day. James needing a GECK to purify the water for Project Purity makes sense under what we now believe the GECK to be. What he figured was, instead of letting the GECK slowly fix an entire region over decades or maybe even centuries, he used its custom FEV payload, words are hard sometimes, to rapidly purify the water that was brought into Project Purity. Pretty much using the payload that was meant for the entirety of the environment, instead custom tailored it to doing one job and one job only. Although, there might still be some odds and ends left in this strain of FEV that choose to purify the water, which may bleed out into the local environment. Only time will tell, though. Now, something interesting is the Enclave offers you another strain of FEV to put into Project Purity. Now, the thing about FEV is once it's used, right? So think of it like this. You can only dunk so many people in FEV to turn them into super mutants. Or you can only aerosolize just so much FEV, like in the vault that the GECK is actually found in Fallout 3. And then you run out of that FEV. If you were to take that small container of FEV the Enclave gives you and dump it into the ocean, sure, stuff directly around it would be changed, but at least for a little while. But it wouldn't change the entire ocean because there's not enough of it. So how exactly do you think that small container of FEV is going to go through and change all the water that flows through Project Purity. It wouldn't on its own. What I believe this FEV strain did was interface with some of the programmable nature of the unique strain of FEV in the GECK. Pretty much saying to the GECK, here, change it so that the water is pure and people that are not mutated beyond the baseline of humanity or other signifiers in the GECK, if they are changed from those baselines that are saved, become toxic to them, right? That's the only way I could figure it would happen, is if that culture, that strain of FEV the Enclave gave you, was pretty much just telling the GECK to destroy everything that's not saved in its database. At least that's what I think. Because after all, the GECK isn't a magic box, it's a programmable bio laboratory in a suitcase. And here's why I think it's one of the most dangerous things the Vault-Tec ever made, and that's also one of the reasons they didn't mass produce these things. Think about it. A portable device the size of a briefcase that can rewrite soil, water, seeds, and future wildlife of the region. It could be used as a weapon. If the wrong variant of FEV is loaded in it, as we already know, it can make a region uninhabitable, just a desolate wasteland where nothing will ever grow again. Kill off entire species. I wish we had that nowadays for fucking ticks and mosquitoes. Rewrite crops to be poisonous. Look exactly the same. Taste exactly the same and not do anything right away, but then kill people a month later. Completely rewrite the food chain. Right? Imagine if the krill in the ocean were able to eat everything in the ocean. Right? Or just violently fucking mutate the entire ecosystem around you. Which is why I think X001 may have been used to modify the nuclear payloads in some weapons, and would also explain why the wildlife changed so rapidly after the bombs fell, instead of just dying out. So at the end of the day that's my theory. The GECK works because it contains a stabilized, programmable strain of FEV derived from specimen X001, using environmental samples as a blueprint. It can't be mass-produced because the material is rare, dangerous, and has to be customized for every region it's meant to restore. Now, I usually do this at the beginning of every video, but if this is your first or second time here, hope you enjoyed the video. If this is your third time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay updated on when I post. I'd like to thank Eric, Hewitt, and Big O for sticking around so far. Thanks, guys. It means a lot. If you'd like to become a member too, link is in the description down below. $2 a month gets you a bunch of members-only stuff here and there, along with your name and the credits of the videos. Alright, I am going to head off now. Have a good day, folks.